And the Trump administration's campaign to undermine the next election is the title over at the Brennan Center, brennancenter.org. They're talking about the new threat to free and fair elections that has emerged. It's the federal government itself. The Trump administration is trying to rewrite election rules to make it harder for voters to vote and to allow partisan Republicans to seize control of election systems. They're targeting or threatening to target election officials and others who keep elections free and fair. Brennan Center writes, they are supporting people who undermine election administration, and they are retreating from the federal government's role of protecting voters and the election process. They talk about Trump. This is, again, the Brennan Center. He was the first president to try to overturn the results of a presidential election and used federal power to do so. Institutions and key officials blocked him. These internal checks, however, are now gone. They're talking about an executive order from March of this year that purports to direct the FEC, the election, or the EAC, excuse me, the Election Assistance Commission, which is an independent bipartisan agency that helps states with election administration, to, quote, mandate that voters show a passport or other similar document proving citizenship when they register to vote using the federal voter registration form. Yeah, what percentage of Americans have a passport? It's a relatively small number. I remember years ago it used to be like 10%. I think the number is much higher now. But it's more likely to be affluent people. Who travels overseas? Affluent people. Who tends to be Republicans? Affluent people. So if you don't have a passport, you don't get to vote. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is their target. Criminals forge your signature on one document, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing and find out today if you're already a victim. Use the promo code TOM14, THOM14, at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure that your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now. Use the promo code TOM14. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TOM14. Second, and again, I'm reading from the Brennan Center. Second, it attempts to force the EAC to amend its guidelines to rescind all previous certifications of voting equipment based on prior standards and, if appropriate, recertify voter systems under amended guidelines, which are to include provisions from the executive order. So we've got them with a show your papers, please provision for voters, which the president does not have the authority to do. The federal government does not have authority over elections. The Constitution clearly gives it to the states, but that doesn't matter. Trump is doing executive orders anyway. You've got them meddling with election equipment. What could possibly go wrong, right? You've got them accessing sensitive voter data files. The federal government now has requested the voter information so far from 19 different states. And apparently they're using this to target voters. They say that they're looking for fraud. There basically is no fraud. There's no voter fraud in America. There never has been of any consequence. It's never affected any election. It's a complete myth that was made up by the Republican Party in the 1960s as a justification to keep mostly Hispanic and Black Americans from voting. And now they want to use this to keep women from voting with the so-called SAVE Act, which says that if your birth certificate, you got to bring your birth certificate along with you, and if your birth certificate doesn't match the name on your driver's license and you don't have papers from a court, certifying that you have legally changed your name, you can't vote, which is what the majority of married women. The Brennan Center is just nailing this thing. I encourage you to go over to brennancenter.org and just go through it, but it's very clear that there is a war on our voting. This, by the way, is exactly what Vladimir Putin did, and it's exactly or largely what Putin did, and it's largely what Orban has done as well, trying to make it hard for the people who might vote against them to vote at all. And this doesn't even get into the purges that are happening, because those are being conducted at the state level. This is all about federal interference in our elections, when the federal government, if it does anything at all, and this is based on the 1993 Motor Voter Act, the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA, the role of the federal government should be to protect your right to vote. And of course, also the Voting Rights Act of 1965, to protect your right to vote. But no. The Republicans don't want you to vote.